Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel, guys. So what I have for you guys today is going to be my Championship Week 10 score predictions. And this weekend in the Championship, guys, we once again have a full fixture list going on and some pretty massive games going on this weekend. We have another local derby coming up this weekend to talk over and a whole lot more action coming up this weekend in the Championship. So as always, guys, I am very interested to know as to what you guys think will happen. So if you've not seen this series before, let me quickly explain how it all goes down. So every weekend I give you guys my Championship score predictions for what I think the results will be with each game going on in the Championship. FIFA 18 also makes their score predictions, but what I'm really interested to know is what you guys have to say. So in the description down below, I'll leave all the fixtures that are taking place this weekend, and then you guys can easily go ahead and make your predictions. And then if you do manage to get any of your score predictions correct, I will include your comment at the start of the next video, guys. So like I said, we have a lot to talk over in this video, so without further ado, let's get into the games. So our first one is quite an intriguing encounter, actually, taking place at Villa Park between Aston Villa and Fulham. Now, of course, Villa coming off the back of that defeat they had last time out against Wolves, and I think it's fair to say if they play in the same manner as they did in that Wolves game, I'm in no doubt that they will go ahead and lose this game. You know, in my opinion, Fulham and Wolves play a similar sort of play, so if Villa, you know, continue to drop quite deep and sit off Fulham and not really go forward with much promise, they're going to struggle in this one. I'm in no doubt about that. However, I do get the feeling that this Villa side will show a reaction. I can't see them being as poor as they were last time out for 2 weeks in a row. Coming up against this Fulham side, who of course got a last minute equaliser against Preston at home on their day, a terrific team in the Championship. Definitely going to cause Villa problems defensively. You know, they looked a bit suspect at the back last time, Villa, and with the amount of chances that Fulham create, that could be an issue. But in terms of a score prediction, I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. I think they could balance each other out in this one. I'll say 1-1. Thief is saying 1-0 Fulham. And then the next game taking place is at Oakwell between Barnsley and Hull City. And this is actually quite a big opportunity, in my opinion, for either of these two sides to go ahead and pick up all 3 points. And both of them not really coming into it on the best run of form. They've only got one win, both of them, in their last 5 games. So like I said, it is a big opportunity for them to pick up 3 points with either side, and I do get that impression that this side will have a winner. I'd be quite disappointed if it did end as a draw. Of course, Hull City coming off the back of that draw they had last time out. Of course, they will be missing David Myler for this game after he was sent off in their last game, and with Barnsley at home this season, I think they've got a bit about them. You know, they do create quite a few chances going forward. Defensively, I think they may have a couple holes to still plug up, but going forward, they can cause some sides problems, and with how inconsistent Hull have been this season, especially on the road, I'm going to back a 2-1 home victory for Barnsley for this one, whereas FIFA's saying it'll be 1-1. And the next game we then go into is a very intriguing encounter. We then have Bolton Wanderers, who are coming up against QPR. So of course, the results of the weekend last week had to be Bolton, who finally got their first victory of the season against Sheffield Wednesday, and once again they are at home, so a massive opportunity to go ahead and pick up another good result against this QPR side. However, QPR won't make it easy for them. I've been quite impressed actually by how well QPR have handled themselves so far this season. Going forward, they definitely will cause this Bolton side problems. You know, got creativity in midfield at QPR, in my opinion. Players like Luongo and Freeman will be causing them problems, but if Bolton are going to defend with that same grit and determination that they showed against Wednesday, they could get a result out of this one, and I think it is imperative. Bolton need to at least draw this game, in my opinion, because if they, you know, they've got that win last time out, it could have just been a one-off instance. They need to start building some momentum now to really climb off the bottom of the Championship. So for this game, I'm not sure they'll get all 3 points, but I am going to fancy Bolton to pick up a draw. I'm going to say this one will end as a 1-1 draw, and Thief is actually going to agree with me. Then into our next fixture, we then have Brentford, who are coming up against Sunderland, and looking over Brentford's recent run of form, actually, they've actually been picking up some very decent results recently. They're unbeaten in their last 5 games, I think, and coming up against this Sunderland side, who are currently rooted second bottom of the Championship, they're going to need to have a lot more McGeady magic in this one if they are going to pick up a result, in my opinion, of course. You have to go back quite a while now to go ahead and look at the last Sunderland victory they got. So, and they are in desperate need of one as well. Coming up against this Brentford side, who I think at home especially are creating an abundance of chances. Perhaps not been as clinical as they should be so far this season, but despite that, they will cause this Sunderland defence a whole lot of problems, in my opinion. And that may lead to Sunderland playing quite deep in this game, which could have pros and cons as to how the rest of the game does flow. But I do get the impression that Brentford will eventually break Sunderland down and maybe get quite a few goals in this one. So I'm going to back a 3-1 home victory for Brentford, whereas FIFA's saying it'll be a 0-0. And into our next game, we then have Bristol City, who are coming up against Leeds United. Now, of course, Leeds at the moment just seem to be spiralling down the Championship, and after such a promising start to the season, I am surprised that they've had this dramatic turn-off recently. You know, they've lost their last 3 games now in the Championship, so it is imperative, in my opinion, that they can't let this downward trend continue for much longer, because, of course, Leeds, of course, definitely going to have aspirations to be finishing in at least the playoffs this season. So the longer this bad run of form, you know, goes on for, the harder it's going to be for them come the end of the season. But they're going away to a Bristol City side who I've been largely impressed by so far this season. You know, they've been one of the standout teams for me so far this season, of course. In their last game, they weren't at their best. You know, Burton Albion defended quite well in that 0-0 draw, but I do get the impression that this could be another defeat for Leeds, you know. If they are to bounce back in this one, fair play to them, because Bristol City haven't really dropped too many points at home this season. But I'm going to fancy a 2-0 home victory for Bristol City in this one, whereas FIFA is going to back a Leeds victory. Then our next matchup is between Derby County and Sheffield Wednesday. So two of the sides in the Championship this season which haven't really hit the best run of form, despite both of them being tipped for the playoffs at the start of the season by quite a lot of people. So quite an intriguing encounter, this one, to go ahead and look over. Of course, Derby coming off the back of that fantastic Derby Day victory they had against Forest last time, a 2-0 victory, and Sheffield Wednesday in desperate need of a response after that defeat they had away to Bolton Wanderers last time. And Sheffield Wednesday recently definitely not in the best run of form. I've seen quite a lot of pressure being mounted on their manager recently as well, with quite a few discontent Wednesday fans. I think rightly so, you know, they've not been brilliant so far this season. Derby in that game against Forest, I don't think they were exceptional, but they got the job done in that one, and they were quite clinical. So if they can, you know, bring in some similar traits into this game, they'll make it hard for Wednesday. But I do get the impression that this one is heading for a 1-1 draw. I think that Carlos Carvajal will look to steady the ship a little bit at Sheffield Wednesday. They're looking at way too rocky at the moment. So for that reason, I think this one could pan out as a 1-1 draw. FIFA same. It'll be a 0-0. Then our next game is then between Middlesbrough and Cardiff City. So, of course, first of all, we'll talk about Middlesbrough for a little bit. Definitely not in the best run of form, Middlesbrough, at the moment. They've actually not picked up a win in their last 4 games. So, a little bit of discontent at the moment around Gary Monk at the club, you know. I still get the impression that he doesn't know his best team and the best formula to get the best out of some of his players at this Middlesbrough side. And that's been seen with them dropping some silly points recently. And of course, it's not going to be easy coming up against this Cardiff side who, to be fair, they haven't been in the best run of form recently either. You know, they've drawn and lost a match in their last 2 games, but despite that, they are still sat second in the Championship. So it's going to be quite an intriguing encounter as to the balance of this game and how it actually goes. But in terms of my opinion, I do see this one once again heading for another draw. Predicting quite a few draws this week, but I do get the impression that that is how this game will finish, actually. And so I'm going to back another 1-1 draw for this game, and FIFA going to agree with me again. Then for our next fixture, we then have Nottingham Forest, who are coming up against Burton Albion. And of course, we've already spoke briefly about that Derby Day defeat which Forest had last time. They did get a little bit unlucky in it, in my opinion. You know, their defending wasn't great, don't get me wrong, but going forward they were creating chance after chance, but nothing seemed to be clicking for them, and that has been, you know, quite representative of their season so far, really. Coming up against this Burton Albion side, who of course are capable of putting in one hell of a defensive shift. You know, we saw that quite a few times so far this season, But so for this game, I'm going to go with a 3-1 home victory for Nottingham Forest. They have the attacking talent there at the club, just not been as clinical as they need to be recently. So I'll go with 3-1 Forest. FIFA same. 1-0 Burton. Then for our next game, that is taking place at Bramall Lane between Sheffield United and Reading. Now, of course, Reading in the last game week picked up a vital 1-0 away victory over Leeds United. And I say vital because without that victory, they'd really be looking at dropping into the bottom 3 at the moment. So it's important for Reading that they continue on this trend and look to build a little bit of momentum now to steer themselves away from that bottom 3. But they're going away to Sheffield United, who just continue to defy expectations really so far this season. They're currently sat 3rd in the Championship, and on their day going forward especially, they are one hell of a team. So it's going to take Reading quite a bit for them to actually stop them, and maybe a little bit of luck to go their way as well. But in terms of how I think this game will go, I'm going to have to predict a 2-1 home victory for Sheffield United. I just think going forward they may have a little bit too much for Reading in this one, so I'll say 2-1 United. FIFA same. 1-0 Reading. And then for our next game, we then have the league leaders Wolves, who are coming up against my club Preston North End. And quite an interesting encounter actually, this one, to go ahead and predict. Two styles of football which could see a pretty good game being played in this one, of course. Wolves liking to play that sort of tiki-taka-esque sort of possession-based football, coming up against Preston, who like to play a very much a high-pressing sort of game. So I'm interested to see how these two styles combat each other and which team causes the more problems. The only doubt for Preston going into this one is the injury that Shawnee Maguire sustained away to Fulham. If Maguire is out injured for this one, I think that is a massive loss for Preston. You know, he takes away, if he is out, that does take away quite a lot of our energy going forward and our ability to break on the counter-attack. We do have other players in those positions who can fill his boots, but despite that, it's still going to be a big loss. Coming up against Wolves, who have just been steamrolling some teams recently, that performance against Villa was absolutely exceptional. So I'm not anticipating an easy game for Preston. It wouldn't surprise me if this one was to end as a draw, and as a Preston fan, I'd probably take that. However, with how good Wolves have been recently, I get that gut feeling that they may just edge this one by 2-1. So as much as I hate to say it, I'll go 2-1 Wolves. FIFA same, 1-0 Wolves. And then our next fixture is the evening kickoff on Saturday, taking place between Millwall and Birmingham. Now, in my opinion, this is quite a tough one to actually go ahead and predict, so I'm interested to see which way you guys are swaying for this prediction. Millwall, of course, coming off the back of 2 successive defeats this season, so they'll be looking to get back to winning ways. Coming up against this Birmingham side who, under Steve Cottrell, will be looking to build some momentum now and really get away from the relegation zone. Of course, they picked up a very impressive victory last week with that fantastic Che Adams goal, and I think that going forward, Birmingham will cause Millwall problems, but there's still something in the back of my mind that's playing that still thinks that defensively Birmingham still have quite a few issues to iron out, and despite them picking up a clean sheet last week, I think that Millwall, with their direct style of play, will cause Birmingham quite a few problems. So for this one, I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. I could see quite a few goals being scored in this one, so I'll say 2-2. FIFA same. 1-0 Millwall. And then the last game taking place on the Sunday is the big game going on this weekend. That is, of course, the East Anglian derby between Ipswich and Norwich. And Ipswich and Norwich fans, I'm very interested to see how you guys think this one will go ahead and unfold this week. And of course, with me being a neutral, you know, I'm not biased towards any side. I just want to see this one end as a good game, actually. I want to see a good spectacle between these two sides. Last season, we saw 2 successive 1-1 draws, and to be honest, I would like to see there be a winner in this match. You know, I think there's a bit more about a derby when one side does come out on top. But looking over the recent history of this fixture, actually, you have to go all the way back to 2009 when Ipswich last got their victory in this derby. So in recent years, Norwich have been dominating it. But in terms of how I think this game will go, both teams are capable of scoring goals, in my opinion. Norwich, probably less so than Ipswich, but they are maybe maybe a bit more clinical going forward, you know, with players like Nelson Oliveira and Cameron Jerome. They'll cause this Ipswich defence some problems in this one, but Ipswich going forward, I do believe that Joe Garner is a doubt for this game, but even so, with players like Wycorn and McGoldrick, they're capable of unlocking this Norwich defence. And in terms of a prediction, I've just got a gut feeling that this may be Ipswich's time to finally go ahead and get a victory. So I'm going to go with a 2-1 home victory for Ipswich. I could be wrong with this one because, in my opinion, for a derby day, form goes completely out the window, and I'm looking forward to seeing this game and how it unfolds, really. But I'll go with 2-1 Ipswich. I'm not 100% convinced by that myself, but that's what I'll say. Thief is saying a 1-1 draw. So guys, there you have it. That will wrap it up for this episode of my Championship score predictions. So what are your score predictions, guys? Let me know in the comments down below. But apart from that, guys, that will now wrap it up for this video. So if you have enjoyed, make sure you do leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. As well as that, make sure you check out all of the other links in the description down below, and make sure you subscribe for regular Championship content. But apart from that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.